The Grand Assembly Hall of Prime was the largest structure ever built by the Galactic Council. It floated in the darkness of space like a silver flower, its petals made of glass and metal. Inside, representatives from 47 species sat in a circle that stretched for miles. At the center stood a single platform where the accused would hear their fate. Today, humanity stood on that platform. Admiral Jack watched from the observation deck above. He was 58 years old with gray hair cut short and eyes that had seen too many battles. He wore his dress uniform, dark blue with gold buttons, but he felt no pride. He felt only cold anger as he watched the scene below. Ambassador Lisa Grant stood alone on the platform. She was a tall woman with brown skin and black hair pulled back tight. Her voice was steady as she spoke into the silence. "This council accuses humanity of crimes we did not commit," she said. "You say we expand too aggressively, but we asked permission for every colony. You say we contaminate younger species with our culture, but we only shared what they asked to learn. You say we are dangerous, but in 300 years we have never started a single war." High Arbiter raised one of his four arms. He was a species that looked like tall insects with shiny blue shells. His voice clicked and buzzed as he spoke. "The human speaks of what she has done. We speak of what she might do. Your species breeds too fast. You adapt too quickly. You ask questions that should not be asked. In 300 years you have grown from one world to 200 colonies. In another 300 years, how many will there be? 1,000, 10,000. Lisa shook her head. "You cannot punish us for crimes we have not committed." "We can protect ourselves from threats we clearly see coming," replied. "The vote will now begin." Gripped the railing so hard his knuckles turned white. Beside him stood Commander Sam Carter, a young man of 30 with red hair and freckles. Sam was the best tactical mind in the fleet, but even he looked helpless now. "They already decided," Sam whispered. "This trial was just for show." Nodded slowly. "I know." One by one, the species cast their votes. The voted to banish humanity. So did the. Species after species voted against the humans. Only 9 voted in their favor, small species that humanity had helped over the years. The final count appeared on the great screen above, 38-9. Stood and spread his forearms wide. "The Council has spoken. Humanity is hereby banished from all Council space. You have 1 standard year to remove all humans from your colonies. Any human found in Council territory after this deadline will be executed. Your species will return to your home system and the border worlds we permit. You will go no further. You will contact no other species. You will be forgotten." Lisa stood frozen on the platform. For a moment, thought she might cry. But then she lifted her chin and spoke in a voice that carried to every corner of the hall. "You make a mistake today, not because we are dangerous, but because we are not. We came to you in peace. We shared our music, our art, our dreams. We asked only to be part of something greater than ourselves, and you spit in our faces." She paused and looked around at the assembled species. "We will remember this. Every human child for 1,000 generations will remember this, and one day you will understand what you have done." She turned and walked off the platform with her head held high. Met her at the door. Lisa's calm face finally broke and tears ran down her cheeks. "I failed them," she whispered. "I failed all of them." "No," said, "they failed us, and they will regret it." Sam joined them as they walked through the empty corridors of the station. Council guards watched them pass but said nothing. They were already ghosts to these people. "What do we do now?" Sam asked. Stopped at a window that looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 12 billion humans lived on 200 worlds. In 1 year they would all have to leave. Many would die in the rush. Families would be torn apart. Dreams would be destroyed. "We do what they say," answered. "We leave their space, we go home." Sam stared at him. "That is it, we just accept this." Turned to face the young commander. There was something in the old admiral's eyes that Sam had never seen before. It was not defeat, it was patience. "They have ruled this council for 10,000 years," said quietly. "They think in centuries, they plan for generations. They believe they are the masters of the long game." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They are wrong. Humans invented the long game. We just never had a reason to play it before." Lisa wiped her tears and looked at, "You have a plan." "I have the beginning of one. There are things about humanity that the council does not know, things we have kept hidden because we wanted to fit in, to be accepted." Started walking again, his boots clicking on the metal floor. "That time is over. We are done trying to be accepted. Now we become what they fear." They reached the docking bay where their shuttle waited, paused at the door and looked back at the great station one last time. "1 year," he said. "They gave us 1 year to leave. They think that is a punishment. They are wrong about that too." Sam stepped closer. "What do you mean?" Put his hand on the young man's shoulder. "1 year is enough time to say goodbye. It is enough time to gather our people, and it is enough time to make sure that when we disappear completely." He looked at Lisa and Sam with fire in his eyes. "The council just banished humanity from the galaxy. They think they have solved the human problem, but they have made the worst mistake in galactic history, because now we have a reason to show them who we really are." The shuttle door opened, stepped inside without looking back. "Come," he said, "we have work to do." As the shuttle lifted off and flew away from Prime, Lisa watched the great station grow smaller in the window. "Do you really think we can come back from this?" she asked. Sat in his chair and closed his eyes. "The council fears what we might become. One day they will learn that their fear was justified, not because we are monsters, but because we are human, and humans do not stay down when they are knocked down." He opened his eyes and looked at the stars ahead. "They wanted us gone. They will get their wish. But they forgot one thing about wishes. Sometimes they come true in ways you never expected." The shuttle flew into the darkness, carrying 3 humans and the first seeds of a plan that would change the galaxy forever. 11 months had passed since the verdict. Humanity was running out of time. Captain Ben Torres stood on the bridge of the refugee ship Horizon's Edge and watched the chaos on his screens. His ship was designed to carry 5,000 people. Today, it carried 15,000. They slept in the hallways. They slept in the cargo bays. Children cried in the darkness while their parents tried to stay calm. "How many more ships behind us?" Ben asked his first officer. 47 in our convoy. Maybe 300,000 people total. Council peacekeepers are shadowing us on the starboard side." Ben looked at the alien warships through the window. They were cruisers, long and sharp like needles. They had been following for 6 days, watching, waiting. "They want us to make a mistake," Ben said. "They want an excuse." The convoy crawled toward the border. At their speed, they would make it with 2 days to spare. But Ben knew that 2 days could feel like forever when death flew beside you. Far behind them, on a world called New Haven, Governor Nancy faced a different problem. New Haven was a farming colony of 2 million people. They grew food for a dozen other human worlds. When the banishment order came, they had to choose: abandon the harvest and let other colonies starve, or stay a little longer and risk everything. Nancy chose to stay. Now she stood in her office and watched the countdown timer on her desk. 6 hours until the deadline. Her ships were loaded with as many people as they could carry. They would leave in 1 hour. They would cross the border with 5 hours to spare. It would be close, but they would make it. Her communication officer burst through the door. "Governor, we have a problem. The council moved the border." Nancy felt her heart stop. "What?" "They announced it 1 hour ago. The border has been pushed back by 2 light years. At our speed, we will miss the deadline by 6 hours. Nancy grabbed the edge of her desk to keep from falling. "That is not possible. They cannot change the rules now. They are the council. They can do whatever they want. Nancy closed her eyes. 2 million people, families who had trusted her, children who did not understand what was happening. All of them would die because the council wanted to send a message. She opened her eyes and pressed the colony-wide broadcast button. "This is Governor. I need everyone to listen carefully. The council has changed the border. We cannot make it in time." She paused as screams came from somewhere outside her window. "I want every ship to launch now. I want you to fly as fast as you can. Maybe some of you will make it. Maybe the council will show mercy." She did not believe her own words, but she had to try. The ships launched. 17,000 vessels of all sizes, from massive freighters to tiny family shuttles. They flew toward a border they could not reach in time. Nancy stayed behind with the last ship. She would be the final person to leave New Haven. It was her duty. Her ship lifted off 6 hours before the deadline. She watched her world grow smaller beneath her. The fields she had planted, the cities she had built, the dreams she was leaving behind. They were still 2 hours from the border when the fleet appeared. 50 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of the refugee convoy. High Arbiter himself commanded them. He had come to watch. Nancy's communication screen lit up with the alien's face. "You have missed the deadline," said. His voice was calm, almost bored. "The council warned you. The punishment for remaining in our space is death." "Please," Nancy said. "We are only 6 hours late. We have children on these ships. We have sick people. We have old people who cannot survive much longer. Please let us pass." Tilted his head. "Your children are not our concern. Your sick are not our burden. You were warned. You did not listen. Now you will serve as an example." The ships opened fire. Nancy watched the first refugee ship explode, then the second, then the third. Families vanished in balls of fire. Children who had been alive moments ago became dust and ash floating in space. She tried to turn her ship around. She tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The last thing Nancy saw was a flash of blue light coming toward her window. Then there was nothing. The council broadcast the massacre across all their channels. They wanted every species to see what happened to those who them. They called it justice. They called it necessary. Humanity called it murder. Back on Earth, Admiral Jack watched the broadcast in silence. Beside him stood Dr. Rachel, a small woman with glasses and gray streaked through her black hair. She was the chief scientist of a project so secret that only 12 people knew it existed. 2 million dead, said, because they were 6 hours late. Rachel put her hand on his arm. "Jack, it is time." He nodded slowly. "Gather the world leaders, all of them. It is time they learned the truth." 3 days later, the most powerful people on Earth sat in an underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. Presidents and prime ministers, generals and admirals, scientists and spies. They all waited to hear what had to say. He stood at the front of the room with Rachel beside him. "For 50 years," began, "humanity has hidden something from the galaxy. We called it Project Ascension. We told ourselves it was insurance, something we would never need to use. We were wrong." Rachel pressed a button, and holographic images filled the room. Ships unlike anything the Council had ever seen. Weapons that bent light and gravity. Engines that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. "We are not the primitive species the Council believes us to be," continued. "We let them think that because we wanted peace. We wanted to belong. But they have shown us that peace was never an option. They do not want us to belong. They want us to die." A general raised his hand. "Why did we not use this technology to fight back?" "Because we would have lost. We are more advanced than any single Council species, but not all of them combined. If we had revealed ourselves, they would have united against us and crushed us with numbers." Eyes grew hard. "But things are different now. They have banished us. They have murdered our people, and they believe we are weak." He turned off the holographic display. I propose the long plan. We retreat as they demand. We go silent and cut all contact with Council space. We let them believe they have one. And then we grow. We expand in the opposite direction into uncharted space. We build and we advance and we multiply. And in 100 years, when they have forgotten us, we return. The room was silent for a long moment. 100 years, a president said. We will all be dead by then. Yes, agreed. This is not for us. This is for the children who will be born in the darkness we are about to enter. This is for everyone we have lost and everyone we will lose. He looked at each face in the room. The council thinks they have ended the human story. They are wrong. They have only ended the first chapter. One by one, the leaders voted. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would disappear. They would grow strong in the shadows, and when the time was right, they would return. 3 weeks later, the last human ship crossed the border into permitted space. The council watched them go and celebrated their victory. Then Earth went dark. All communication stopped. All signals ended. Humanity vanished from the galaxy like smoke in the wind. The council did not worry. They believed the human problem was solved. They had no idea that their nightmare was just beginning. 100 years of silence. To the Galactic Council, humanity became a memory. Old species remembered the banishment. Young species learned about it in history lessons. The humans were gone, trapped in their tiny corner of space, slowly dying on their few permitted worlds. At least that is what everyone believed. Admiral Kate stood on the bridge of the battleship Remembrance and looked out at the stars. She was 42 years old with sharp blue eyes and brown hair cut at her shoulders. She wore a uniform of black and silver, the colors of the new human navy. "Status report," she said. Her first officer, a man named Daniel Price, checked his screens. All 2,000 worlds report stable. Population across the Empire has reached 900 billion. The new shipyards at Station 12 are operational. We can produce 50 capital ships per month. Kate nodded, and the Council. Still blind. Director's spy network reports no unusual activity. They have not detected any of our ships or colonies. Kate allowed herself a small smile. 100 years ago, humanity had retreated as commanded. They had settled on their few permitted worlds near Earth. They had pretended to struggle and suffer. And while the Council watched the front door, humanity had slipped out the back. They had expanded in the opposite direction, into space no Council species had ever explored. They found resources the Council never knew existed. They built cities on worlds the Council had never mapped, and with each passing year, they grew stronger. The technology that Project Ascension had developed was just the beginning. A century of focused research had pushed humanity centuries ahead of where they had been. Their ships could cross the galaxy in hours. Their weapons could tear apart stars. Their medicine could extend human life to 300 years. But Kate did not care about any of that. She cared about one thing only: justice for the dead. Her grandmother, Admiral's daughter, had died during the Exodus. Her grandfather had spent his final years planning for this moment, then died 10 years before he could see it happen. The weight of their sacrifice pressed on Kate every day. "We have a visitor," Daniel said. "Director's shuttle just docked." Kate turned from the window. "Send him to my ready room." Director was a thin man with white hair and eyes that missed nothing. He had built the greatest spy network in galactic history, with agents on every Council world. His people had lived among the aliens for decades, gathering information and waiting for the signal. He sat across from Kate and placed a data chip on her desk. "We have a problem," he said. "One of our exploration vessels was spotted near the border. A Council patrol saw them." Kate's jaw tightened. How much did they see? Enough. The patrol commander was smart. Instead of attacking, he ran back to report. By now, the Council knows that human ships still exist. ships that are far more advanced than anything they remember. Did we stop the patrol? We caught them, but we did not destroy them. I thought you would want to make a decision. Kate leaned back in her chair. Where are they now? In our holding facility at Station 7. The commander is a young named grandson of the High Arbiter who banished us. Kate's eyes widened. The grandson. Yes, and there is more. Slid another chip across the desk. Young found something in his grandfather's archives, records that prove the original charges against humanity were fabricated. The evidence was created by his grandfather to justify the banishment. Kate picked up the chip. Why would the High Arbiter do that? Fear, pure fear. He saw how fast humanity was growing and decided we needed to be stopped before we became too powerful. The trial was just theater. The verdict was decided before it began. Kate stared at the chip in her hand. 2 million people had died at New Haven. Millions more had died during the Exodus. All because one alien had been afraid of what humans might become. What does Young want? She asked. He wants to make things right. He says his grandfather committed a great crime against humanity. He wants to help us reveal the truth. Kate stood and walked to the window. Outside, the lights of Station 12 sparkled like a field of diamonds. 50,000 humans worked there, building ships for a war that had waited 100 years. The time of silence is over, she said quietly. We cannot hide anymore. No, agreed, but we can choose how we return. Kate turned to face him. What do you mean? The Council is weak. 5 species are on the edge of civil war. Their technology has barely advanced since we left. If we attack now, we could crush them completely. We could rule the galaxy. That is not what we want. Raised an eyebrow. Then what do we want? Kate thought of her grandmother. She thought of Governor and the 2 million souls who died at New Haven. She thought of every human who had suffered so that this moment could arrive. We want justice, she said. Not revenge, there is a difference. She pressed the communication button on her desk. Get me a channel to all human worlds. I need to address the Empire. 1 hour later, 900 billion humans watched their Supreme Commander speak. 100 years ago, the Galactic Council banished humanity from the stars. They murdered our people. They burned our colonies. They tried to erase us from history, and for 100 years we have been silent. Kate paused and looked directly into the camera. That silence ends today. We have grown strong in the shadows. We have built an empire that spans 2,000 worlds. We have technology that makes the Council look like children playing with toys. And now we have proof that our banishment was based on lies. She held up the data chip from Young. The species that condemned us did so out of fear, not justice. They were afraid of what we might become, and they were right to be afraid, not because we are monsters, but because we are survivors. We do not forget, we do not give up, and we do not stay down when we are knocked down. Kate stood, her voice growing stronger. Tomorrow, the first contact fleet will cross into Council space. We will not fire first. We will not attack civilians. We will not become the monsters they accused us of being, but we will have justice. For New Haven. For everyone we lost. For the century they stole from us. She let the words hang in the air. The Council wanted us gone. They got their wish. But now we are coming back. And this time we are not asking for permission. The broadcast ended. Across 2,000 worlds, humanity began to prepare. Ships powered up their engines. Soldiers put on their armor. Families said prayers for their loved ones. The silent century was over. The storm was about to begin. On Station 7, the young named sat in his cell and waited. He did not know what the humans would do with him. He did not know if he would live or die. But when he heard Kate's broadcast, he felt something he had not expected. Hoping. Maybe, he thought, there was still a chance to fix what his grandfather had broken. Maybe it was not too late for the galaxy to become what it was always meant to be. He would have to wait and see. The humans were coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Emergency meetings filled every hour. Ambassadors screamed at each other across the Great Hall. Military commanders demanded action while politicians demanded calm. And through it all, one question echoed in every mind. How did humanity survive? High Arbiter the Elder, now ancient and slow, sat on his throne and watched his life's work fall apart. He had banished the humans. He had made the galaxy safe. And now they were coming back, stronger than ever, with evidence of his greatest secret. "We must attack first," demanded the ambassador, a creature covered in thick scales, "before they cross the border." "With what?" replied the delegate. "Our fleet is scattered across 1,000 systems. The humans could be here in days." "Then we combine our forces, call back every ship." High Arbiter raised one trembling arm. "Do it. Call them all. We will meet the humans at Prime where we banished them. We will show them that the Council is still strong." The order went out. 50,000 warships from 30 species turned toward Prime. It was the largest fleet in galactic history. Nothing could stand against it. Or so they believed. Fleet Admiral Cole stood on the bridge of the human flagship Unity and watched his tactical display. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray at his temples. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. 500 ships, his first officer said. "Against 50,000, the math is not in our favor." Smiled. "The math changed a long time ago. They just do not know it yet." The first contact fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each ship was small compared to the Council dreadnoughts, but they contained technology a century ahead of anything the aliens possessed. They could move faster, hit harder, and survive longer than any vessel in the Council fleet. But did not want to destroy the Council. He wanted to defeat them, which was different. "Open a channel," he said, "to all ships in the fleet." His face appeared on screens across 500 bridges. "Today we return to Prime. 100 years ago, our ancestors stood in that station and heard the words that banished them from the stars. Today, we will stand there again. But this time, we will not leave." He paused and looked at the stars ahead. "I know many of you want revenge. I know you have lost family to the Council's cruelty. I have lost family too. My grandmother died at New Haven. My grandfather spent his life dreaming of this day but died before he could see it." His voice grew firm. "But we are not here for revenge. We are here for justice. There is a difference. Revenge destroys everything. Justice rebuilds. We will defeat the Council today, but we will not become them. We will show the galaxy what humanity truly is." The channel closed. The fleet moved forward. They arrived at Prime to find the Council armada waiting. 50,000 ships arranged in perfect formation, bristling with weapons. The great station hung behind them, its silver petals gleaming in the starlight. High Arbiter appeared on every screen. "Humans," he said, "you were banished from this place. You were ordered never to return. Yet here you are. This is your final chance. Surrender now and we will show mercy. Continue forward and you will be destroyed." Cole activated his own broadcast. His face replaced the High Arbiters on screens across both fleets. "We do not want war," said. "We want justice. You murdered 2 million people at New Haven. You fabricated evidence to banish us. You tried to erase us from history. We have proof of all of this." He held up a data chip. "This proof comes from your own grandson, High Arbiter. He found the truth in your archives. He knows what you did." His face twisted with rage. "My grandson is a traitor. His words mean nothing." "Then let the galaxy decide. Release this evidence to every species. Let them see what you have done. Let them vote on whether your actions were just." "I will not be judged by humans," spat. "Open fire, destroy them all." The Council fleet surged forward. 50,000 ships against 500. The odds were 100 to 1. It was not enough. The human ships did not move like normal vessels. They flickered and danced through space, appearing in one place and then another. Council weapons fired at empty space, while human weapons found their targets with perfect accuracy. The Battle of Prime lasted 4 hours. In the first hour, the human fleet destroyed 10,000 Council ships. They targeted engines and weapons, disabling vessels without killing crews when possible. Thousands of aliens found themselves floating in dead ships, alive but helpless. In the second hour, the Council formation broke apart. Species began to retreat without orders. Panic spread through the fleet as commanders realized they could not hit ships they could not track. In the third hour, half the remaining fleet surrendered. Ships dropped their shields and broadcast distress signals. Human vessels moved in to accept their surrender and rescue survivors. In the fourth hour, only 3,000 Council ships remained. They fled in every direction, broken and terrified. The human fleet had taken 0 losses. Cole walked onto Prime Station with 100 soldiers behind him. The same station where Lisa Grant had stood a century ago. The same hall where humanity had been condemned. High Arbiter sat in his chair, too weak to flee. His guards had abandoned him. His allies had run. He was alone. Stopped in front of him. 100 years ago, you stood in this room and banished my people. You called us a threat. You said we needed to be stopped before we became too powerful. Looked around at the empty hall. You were wrong. We were never a threat. We only wanted to belong, but you could not see past your fear, and now your fear has come true. His voice was barely a whisper. What will you do? Execute me, destroy our worlds, become the monsters I always knew you were. Shook his head. No, we are not here for revenge. We are here for justice. He turned to his soldiers. Take him into custody. He will face trial for the massacre at New Haven and for fabricating evidence against humanity. A fair trial with real evidence before judges from every species. Looked back at the old alien. That is the difference between us, High Arbiter. We do not punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty. We do not fabricate lies to justify murder. We do not hide from the truth. Soldiers stepped forward and took away. Broadcast to the galaxy. The battle is over. The Council fleet is defeated, but we have not come to conquer. We have come to offer a choice. He paused, letting his words reach every corner of civilized space. Join us in building a new galactic government, one based on equality, not fear, one where every species has a voice, one where crimes like New Haven can never happen again. Or refuse and we will leave you alone. We will not force our way on anyone, but we will never forget and we will always be watching. He lowered his hand. The choice is yours. Humanity has returned, and we are not going anywhere. Across the galaxy, species began to respond. Some surrendered immediately, others asked for terms. A few threatened to fight on. But everyone understood one truth. The galaxy had changed forever. The humans were back. And they were unstoppable. The War Crimes Tribunal lasted 6 months. Every species sent representatives to watch. Evidence was presented, witnesses, and the truth finally came out. High Arbiter the Elder was found guilty of genocide, fabrication of evidence, and crimes against sentient beings. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on a prison station far from any world. He died 3 weeks later, alone and forgotten. But his death was not the end. It was the beginning. Senator Maria stood before the newly formed United Species Assembly and spoke to representatives from 47 worlds. She was 60 years old with white hair and kind eyes that had seen too much pain. We could have conquered you, she said. Our technology is centuries ahead. Our fleet is unmatched. We could have done to you what you did to us. She paused and looked around the great hall. But that is not who we are. Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in it, as equals, as partners, as friends. The assembly was silent. We have already shared our medical technology with any species that asked. Your sick are being healed. Your dying are being saved. We ask nothing in return. Maria held up a document. This is the new Galactic Charter. It guarantees equal representation for every species, no matter how small. It creates courts of justice where any citizen can seek help. It forbids the kind of cruelty that destroyed New Haven, and it promises that no species will ever be banished again. A delegate raised his hand. Why should we trust you? Your species hid for a century, building weapons in secret. How do we know you will not turn on us? Maria nodded at the question. You do not know, you cannot know. Trust is earned over time, not given in a moment. But I can tell you this, if we wanted to destroy you, we would have done it already. We have had 100 years to become angry, 100 years to plan revenge, and yet here I stand offering peace. She stepped closer to the assembly. The humans who were banished are all dead now. Their children are dead, even they are old. The hatred that your ancestors created has had generations to grow, but we chose a different path. We chose to build instead of destroy. We chose to hope instead of hate. Maria's voice grew soft. We are tired of being afraid. We think you are tired too, so let us stop being afraid together. The vote was held the next day. 42 species voted for the new charter. Only 5 voted against. The United Species Assembly was born. Commander, the young who had exposed his grandfather's crimes, stood beside Maria as the charter was signed. He had been given a choice: return to his people in shame or stay with humanity and help build a new future. He chose to stay. My grandfather believed that fear was the only way to maintain order, said to the gathered reporters. He was wrong. Fear creates enemies. Trust creates allies. I hope that my presence here shows that even the deepest wounds can heal. Far from the ceremonies, Admiral Kate walked through a field of white stones. The New Haven Memorial covered 10 square miles of a planet that had been set aside for remembrance alone. 2 million stones, one for each person who died. Names were carved into each one. Families came from across human space to find their loved ones and say goodbye. Kate stopped at a stone near the center of the field. It read, "Beloved daughter and mother." She believed in a better galaxy. Kate's grandmother. She knelt and placed her hand on the cold stone. "We did it," Kate whispered. "We came back. We got justice, and we did not become the monsters they feared." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I wish you could see it. I wish grandfather could see it. I wish everyone could see what we built from the ashes you left behind." She stayed there for a long time, alone with her memories. Fleet Admiral Cole did not attend the ceremonies. He had a different mission. His ship hung at the edge of known space, watching the darkness beyond. For weeks, his sensors had been picking up strange signals, patterns that did not match any known species, energy readings that explanation. "What do you think it is?" his first officer asked. Stared at the data scrolling across his screen. "I do not know, but whatever it is old, very old, and it is getting closer." He sent a report back to Admiral with a simple recommendation: prepare. 1 year after the charter was signed, Maria and Commander announced a new initiative. They called it the Frontier Program. Its mission was to explore beyond known space and prepare the galaxy for whatever lay in the darkness. The Council spent 10,000 years looking inward, Maria explained. They fought each other over scraps while the universe waited outside their door. Humanity has always looked outward. We explored our planet. We explored our solar system. We explored the stars. And now we will explore what lies beyond. She smiled at the crowd. We do not know what we will find. It might be nothing. It might be wonders beyond imagination. It might be dangers we cannot yet understand, but we will not hide from it. We will not pretend it does not exist, because that is not who humans are. Commander stepped forward. And we will not do it alone. Every species that joins the Frontier Program will have a seat at the table. Every discovery will be shared. Every challenge will be faced together. The response was overwhelming. Within a month, 30 species had volunteered ships and crews. On the bridge of the flagship Unity, Kate looked at the stars one last time. She was retiring soon. Her war was over. Her mission was complete. But she knew the story was not finished. "Admiral," a young officer called out, "we have new data on those signals from the edge. The pattern has changed. It looks almost like words." Kate walked to the officer's station and looked at the screen. "Can you translate it?" "We are trying, but sir, there is something else. The signals are getting stronger. Whatever is out there, it knows we are here, and it is trying to talk to us." Kate straightened her uniform and looked at the stars beyond the window. Somewhere out there, something ancient was waking up, something that had watched the galaxy for ages, waiting for the right moment. "Send a message to Senator and Commander," Kate said. "Tell them the next chapter is beginning." She thought of her grandfather, who had started this journey a century ago. She thought of her grandmother, who had died believing in a dream she would never see. She thought of all the humans who had lived and died in the darkness so that this moment could arrive. "The Council feared what we might become," Kate said softly. "Now the galaxy will see what we truly are, not conquerors, not victims, humanity." She turned to her crew and smiled. "We have faced fear and emerged stronger. We have faced hatred and responded with hope. We have faced the impossible and proved it wrong." Kate pointed at the stars. "Out there is something new, something unknown, and it is calling to us." She took a deep breath. "The Council banished humanity from the galaxy. They thought they were ending our story. They were wrong. They were just turning the page." She gave the order. "Set course for the edge of known space. It is time to answer." The Unity turned toward the darkness, carrying humanity into a future no one could predict. Behind them, the galaxy they had saved watched and waited. Whatever came next, they would not face it alone. The human story was far from over. It was only beginning.